Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special battlefield report. On October 5th, the Russian aerospace forces decided to roll out their most advanced Su-57 fighter jet to test their top secret treasure, the 70 Hunter drone. This isn't just any piece of tech, it's Russian fuel, a decade touted as the future game changer in warfare. But let's be honest, it's basically a loyal wingman for the Su-57. The Hunter features a flying wing design measuring 14 meters in length with a 19-meter wingspan. It can carry 2.8 tons of weapons, has a top speed just shy of Mach 1.2, can fly up to 6,000 kilometers, and reach an 18 kilometers. Russia doesn't have many of these. This was only the fourth one with a hefty price tag of $20 million. So a Su-57 and an S-70 took off from the Aktubinsk air base, a key military facility in southern Russia used for testing new aircraft. But who would have thought that just as the show was starting, things would go haywire? The 70 suddenly lost contact with ground control and diverted Ukrainian-controlled territory. Russian commanders were in a full-blown panic and scrambled to order the Su-57 pilot to come up with any plan. Thinking outside the box, the pilot actually tried to push the drone back using his wing. In the end, they had no choice but to order a Russian interceptor to shoot down their own prized asset. So, this invaluable drone crashed in Kostyantynivka on Ukrainian soil, just 16 kilometers from the front lines. Ukrainians were flabbergasted. It was as if a treasure fell straight out of the sky. They rushed to the crash site and scooped up every piece of wreckage. Upon inspection, they realized it was none other than the fourth prototype of Russia's S-70. But here's where it gets even juicier. Russian experts were floored when they realized this advanced drone was nothing more than a glorified glider with basic radio control. All that talk about stealth coatings and artificial intelligence, pure fantasy. It didn't even have a decent data link, just basic radio control. Now, Russia's military secrets are laid bare for NATO to see. Yet Russia is still putting on a brave face. They claim our drones are already in mass production. Losing one is no big deal. Yeah, right. With only 6 in the entire military, losing one means they're down by a 6th. And even more amusing, the Russians are spinning this as a positive, saying it proves their drones have seen actual combat. They also boast about plans to start mass production in the second half of 2025. At this rate, they'll be lucky if they can count their drones on 2 hands by 2025. This whole fiasco has even tarnished the reputation of the Su-57, using their most advanced fighter jet to babysit a drone and still losing track of it. Talk about a facepalm moment. Let's not forget the aftermath. The S-70's wreckage scattered everywhere, damaging several buildings in the small town. Thankfully, there were no casualties, otherwise the drama would have been even more intense. This incident shows that sometimes the enemy doesn't need to do anything. You can sabotage yourself just fine. Mr. Putin is probably fuming right about now. Folks, stay tuned for more of Russia's Comedy of Errors. Same time, same channel. The fall of Vidar marks a significant turning point in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Let's delve into this tragic event, the factors that led to it, and its broader implications for the war. Back in August 2022, a talented commander took the helm of the 72nd Brigade. Under his leadership, the unit transformed into a well-equipped and highly motivated force. When ammunition was plentiful and anti-tank missiles were readily available, the 72nd Brigade crushed every Russian offensive. If the Russians made any headway, they launched thunderstorm counterattacks, pushing the front lines back. But over time, things started to go downhill. In the past 9 months, the 72nd Brigade faced severe shortages of ammo and personnel. This elite unit gradually lost its fighting edge. The Russians picked up on this and seized the opportunity. They successfully encircled Vuldar and laid deadly minefields on the roads leading to the town. In just a few days, 2 Ukrainian BIMP armored vehicles, 2 tanks, and several trucks turned into fireballs in this death trap. As the situation worsened, the 72nd Brigade pleaded for a retreat not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Reports indicate that their desperate calls went unanswered time and but it wasn't until October 2nd, when soldiers had already started withdrawing on their own under the looming threat of death, that the higher-ups finally issued the retreat order. Amidst to add insult to injury, they transferred the brigade commander under the pretext of promotion and sharing combat experience. Right, just creating this critical moment. The new commander had previously only led a battalion. So retreating is one of the most complex military maneuvers, especially when the enemy is hot on your heels. The 72nd Brigade's original withdrawal plan couldn't be executed due to the delayed order. Their escape routes were cut off by Russian forces, forcing them to hastily devise a new plan amid chaos. Heartbreakingly, Russian artillery fire blocked the roads, preventing Ukrainian vehicles from getting close. 40 severely wounded soldiers couldn't be evacuated. Their comrades had to bid tearful farewells and cover the main force's retreat. We don't yet know how many of their guard soldiers, if their bad soldiers, managed to escape, how many fell in battle, or if any were killed after surrendering. Disturbingly, photos of these soldiers' bodies and other fallen Ukrainian troops have started appearing on Russian social media. To grasp the profound impact of this defeat, we need to look back at the 72nd Brigade's past glories. A 25-minute video shot a year ago showcased their exceptional capabilities. For the fire support, they could precisely strike targets within 3 to 4 minutes, keeping Russian forces at bay for weeks. Their trenches and bunkers were textbook examples of defensive fortifications. The video showed meticulously maintained trenches covered with camouflage nets. Nearby, a bunker with observation slits and top camouflage stood just 650 meters from enemy positions. Impressively, even after a full year on the front lines, they tirelessly reinforced their positions. As one company commander put it, this is about our survival. Their extreme attention to detail greatly enhanced the 72nd Brigade's combat effectiveness. So, how did the 72nd Brigade reach this point? After last summer's offensive, the brigade took over a 30-kilometer defensive line. Since then, Russian forces have been attacking non-stop, suffering heavy casualties but steadily advancing from the north. By mid-May, they breached the brigade's defenses. By mid-June, they began relying on human wave tactics to push forward. At this juncture, the Ukrainian military should have rotated the 72nd Brigade out with fresh troops. But for various reasons, that didn't happen. As a result, the brigade's capabilities sharply declined during the prolonged defense. In the end, they had less than a quarter of their original strength. A staff officer from the brigade's battalion headquarters spoke about their dire situation. First off, they were severely understaffed. The battalion lost an average of 21 soldiers per month, but only got 8 replacements. Most of the new recruits were 50 years old with little to no training. They also lacked firepower. 2 years ago, they had ample artillery support, but this year, almost none. Plus, the roads for transporting supplies and reinforcements were under Russian artillery fire, making it nearly impossible to get anything through. This continuous attrition reduced the brigade from about 2,000 soldiers to just 500, including mechanics, drivers, and other support personnel forced to act as infantry. The density of their defensive line plummeted, with each soldier having to cover 100 to 200 meters alone. That's much lower than the 1 soldier per 100 meters during the Battle of Bakhmut, and far below the standard of 5 to 10 soldiers per 100 meters. The Russian army was adjusting its tactics too. Over the past 2 years, they've tried to capture Vuhledar, but suffered heavy losses. The 155th Naval Infantry Brigade lost an entire tank battalion in a single mechanized assault last winter. But this time, they didn't attack head-on. They used flank 3-3 and deep encirclement strategies. By late September, Russian forces advancing from both flanks nearly encircled Vuhledar from the rear, and Ukrainian supply lines were about to be cut off, forcing the 72nd Mechanized Brigade to withdraw. However, the Russians also faced significant challenges with severe shortages of armored vehicles and personal personnel. The 155th Naval Brigade's losses in the September battle far exceeded its total losses over 10 years during the Second Chechen War. They even started using storm zenits composed of convicts, bringing in people they previously wouldn't have considered. This situation offered potential tactical opportunities for Ukraine, and the Ukrainian military was closely monitoring Russian movements. On September 28, the spokesperson for the Southern Command revealed that Russian forces were massing in southeastern Zaporizhzhia Oblast. They were expected to attack along the T-0509 highway, particularly targeting Velika Novosilka. This intel provided Ukrainian forces with crucial tactical warnings. From recent battles, Ukraine's tactical lessons are profound. Facing Russian forces, they shouldn't spread their troops thin and resist slowly. That strategy will eventually exhaust reserves, leading to loss of both men and territory. Instead, they should concentrate armored units to break through Russian flanks, eliminating the threat in southern Donetsk. This new approach could be key in future operations. Tactical tweaks alone aren't enough to solve all of Ukraine's challenges. The deeper issues lie at the strategic level, mainly manpower and firepower. The shortage of personnel needs to be addressed internally, while the lack of firepower requires support from Western allies. The root of these problems is the absence of a comprehensive Ukrainian war strategy. Fortunately, the upcoming Ramstein meeting is expected to focus on these strategic issues. Hopefully, this defeat could become a turning point to reverse the war's course. That's all for today's special report. Thanks for watching, folks. Stay tuned for more of Russia's finest military comedy. And don't forget to like and subscribe for your daily dose of chaos.